Hello and welcome to DGI-412. I am your host Sri Iyer. Joining me is my co-host Sridhar Chityalaji. Sridharji, namaskar and welcome to PGurus channel.
Namaskar. Good morning to everybody. Happy to be here.
Sridharji, let's start with the United States warning to China. China has been now becoming, been covertly or overtly aiding Russia, but they're also talking to Ukraine. Kind of read the puzzle for us, sir. Which side is China leaning? Why do they need Ukraine's help?
Well, I think first and foremost, Chinese position is a win-win situation. They will talk to all sides of the party, and they will swing the way they want to swing. There's obviously tremendous amount of feedback that has gone via Dr. Wang Yi to Mr. Xi Jinping, that the world is antagonistic towards China in terms of the posture and the position that it has taken with Russia. So what it is doing is it is playing what you call as the wolf diplomacy, which we talked about, which is to say, keep on telling the West, but at the same time having conversations with both the parties. Remember that China was one of the first countries to put forth a plan, which is a 12-point plan, which we discussed in the last DGI, while the others have been talking about a resolution, an immediate cessation to hostilities. China has put forth a plan. So I think that they also are learning that the impact of this war can have immediate repercussions to China. Hence, they're playing both sides of the coin, Sriji.
Thank you, sir. And now let us take a look at Belarus anti-government activists. They have claimed responsibility for what they said was a drone attack on a Russian A-50 surveillance aircraft near Minsk. Sir, Minsk is inside Russia, isn't it?
Minsk is capital, Belarus.
Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead, sir.
So I think they took out the debris fell right around the capital. So it also shows that there's activity going on inside Belarus. Obviously, they've got access to drones. So there are forces from outside trying to influence inside Belarus as well, and to create trouble for the Russians. So there is mounting pressure that is also being exerted from around the neighbors through covert ways.
And now Russia's Medvedev says that arms supply to Kiev is threatening global nuclear catastrophe. This nuclear card has been played for several months now by Russia. What is the practicality of this? If something goes off, will it also not hurt Russia because Russia is all around Ukraine, sir? The cloud.
Russia is not going to use nuclear arms. He is effectively using that as a threat, because the West is not coming to the negotiating table. West is not coming to the negotiating table. West is saying, stop the war and get out of the occupied territories, then we will speak. So there is no offer on the table. So what he has to do scaremongering, which is what he is trying to do. Probably he has also got this, we'll cover that in a second, he's also got tremendous pressure inside because it's a stalemate. And it is sinking the Russian economy, and it is costing, and he is run out of supplies. We are also told that he's running out of the drones that the Iranians have given him covertly. So I think that what you are seeing is that the president and the Russian prime minister basically jointly making statements that Putin also made a statement, which is to say, don't NATO have nuclear options? So I must have a deterrence. So he is trying to wriggle himself out and see, is there a salvageable solution out of this?
Thank you, sir. Let's take a look at some European news. Macron flies to Africa to counter waning French influence with profound influence from Russia. We're going to put up a map for you, Sridharji, then you can talk to that. Please go ahead, sir.
So if you see the historical French, this is the Algeria, Morocco, Algeria, Mauritania, Mali, Burkina Faso, Nigeria, goes up to Chad, and even to some extent, Libya. So this is the influential areas of the France. Now you can go to the right and take a look at the right. Where Algeria is, Russia also has got a significant footprint. With Russians coming into Burkina Faso, with French trying to quit that region, you can see that the Russians are trying to be influential and occupy. There's various data that is given in terms of the amount of money that is done with France and the footprint of the French military. And similarly, you see on the Russian side, you see on the others opposite the next map, the Russian footprint within the African region. Clearly, there is arm tussle going on between two influential powers, which is France and Russia in that specific region. It's very significant because remember that the African coast is a very significant trade corridor. Again, we had mentioned in DGI, people underestimate the size of the combined African economy is 1.1 trillion US dollars. Not insignificant.
Yes, sir. And I forgot to mention one thing. Is there a coup brewing in Russia by hardliners? Two intelligence agencies are reporting this.
Indeed, I think that there's both the British intelligence as well as there is the CIA and some other external agencies are reporting that there is a lot of growing what you call discomfort within the hardcore Russian right communists, and they feel that Putin has not been decisive, he has not been forceful. To a large extent, one must commend Putin. He has exercised restraint and tried to do this and see whether a salvageable solution can be obtained. If there is a coup, there's a belief in the West, what they will get out is far worse than what they have right now.
Well, that is the fear always, isn't it? Coups don't necessarily mean good things to come. And now let's take a look at what is happening in the United States. Quickly, Sridharji, inflation is definitely taking a bite. The markets are again headed lower. Many people are saying that there is so much inflation that the United States will have to really keep the rates high for a prolonged amount of time. So there is some tussle going on. I saw a Lawrence Summers interview yesterday. He said the same thing. Is he the exception or the rule, sir?
So I think that it's like a broken record. We have spoken and spoken and spoken and spoken. They are using a monetary tool to address a fiscal and domestic supply issue. This is about fiscal is done. They can't do anything further on the fiscal side. Monetary is done. The Fed goes on pushing. They're going to push US further into deep abyss rather than a soft landing. But the supply chain issue remains a problem. Guys, folks, we don't have time within this window. But I can tell you, every day, there's at least 1 or 2 train accidents all over the place in the United States. We have no idea whether the supplies are reaching the specific destinations. There are 3 major routes. That the second is obviously the trucks on the roads, and the third is the barges in major river systems. And I think we covered one of the barges, which is Mississippi, how some of that has got slushes and has not been redone. Infrastructure is one of the areas which United States has deeply neglected. And there's also ports where you find that the container ships are, jammed for want of space or for want of clearing or for want of labor. But the supply chain remains a very, very big issue, but we are going on pushing the interest rates.
Sridharji, one point of curiosity, sir. When the Democrats were in majority in both the House and the Senate, President Biden failed to pass his infrastructure bill, which was considered good for the US economy. What went wrong, sir?
He added climate to that bill, and he added other kind of stimulus programs or fiscal giveaways as a free gift to the people. So therefore, people said no. And he didn't address the core issue, which is why Manchin vetoed, which is namely expansion of the energy as well as some of the coal mines in the steel belt region. So as a result, the two, Sinema and Manchin, opposed the bill and it fell away.
Sir, very important news about Rashida Tlaib, one of the members of Squad, who is embroiled in a multi-$1,000 conspiracy. Sir, or corruption, you might say. Who is the other member of Squad, sir? You have held off the name. One person is Tlaib. Is there any other person in the Squad? We know the 5 members of the Squad, or 7, whatever you wanted.
No, you tell me the name, the other name, it'll jog my memory. Her famous compatriot, it's not Ilhan Omar. It is the new entrant who has come in.
Hakeem Jeffries?
No, not Hakeem. Hakeem is a former. It's a lady. And they have diverted $270,000 to 2 groups which are absolutely anti-Israel. And this is the money that has been given to them as by virtue of being the representatives. It is not the proper use of money. And they've even gone public and basically stated that they gave this money because some of the behavior of the US press and US media and US people were very antagonistic towards them. So this is the reason this issue has flared up. But she's stoutly defending her move. She says, you guys fund so many advocacy groups, so I'm funding these groups which are in support of Palestine.
Asia news. China is under huge economic pressure, pushes for resurrection of EU investment deal as EU shifts focus to India and other regions. Is China getting cold feet on Taiwan based on the Russian experience? The second one is very interesting, sir. Please walk us through. Is a shift really happening away from China to India? Has there been a very palpable change in direction as far as EU is concerned?
You go to every major world forum. Doesn't matter whether it is G20 leaders in Indonesia. Doesn't matter whether it is ASEAN or CPTPP or APEX, the meetings that were held in Thailand as well as in Manila, or the most recent G20 foreign ministers meeting as well as leaders meeting that is taking place right in India. What's the topic? The topic is not China. The topic is India. And the topic is India or other nations. So therefore, China is beginning to recognize that it is losing the mind share. It is also losing, as a result, the potential wallet share. The guy who inflicted the maximum damage to China was President Trump when the imposed tariffs and and the market kind of took a bad hit as a result of that. Then you had COVID, which caused havoc. So Chinese economy is not doing great. Yes, it did get the supplies from the energy side from the Russians, but it needs to get his manufacturing going. If everybody is going to move away or start moving away, then it hurts the economy. The last thing that you want, having seen what has happened to Russia in Ukraine, and having seen some of the results of the simulations that has taken place, there is an internal kind of thinking that is brewing. Can China afford an economic collapse on the back of a major Taiwanese incursion? So this is the reason why that there is a soft thinking that is going on. Is obviously this news is being very carefully orchestrated and leaked. What exactly the China intention, we still don't know. But at least they want to send a message silently through their, the media circles while they're thinking whether they should be doing anything in Taiwan.
Sridharji, speaking of China, COVID-19, another day, another report saying that it leaked from a lab. We're going to show you a small picture, sir. And this again confirms the theory that it leaked from the lab. But how long are we just going to be theorizing about this? What is the tangible action that is planned, sir?
Nothing. Sorry to say that, Sriji. I'm giving you a very disappointing answer. Yes, lab leak most likely origin of COVID-19 pandemic claims US Energy Department within Biden administration. Oh, by the way, we have been saying this since 2020, okay?
Right,
but nobody
right.
Nobody believed us. Okay, now it is basically confirmation that the energy department says yes, that is plausible. So what does the national security advisor do? Immediately he says, well, there's a strong reason to equally believe that may not be the case, notwithstanding the fact one of his departments and several others have, have a strong belief that that was the case, that he did, not intentional, but by accident, that thing leaked out, and the whole thing is being kept under the we're trying to be kept under the lid. And remember, thus far, China has shared no data. United States and US and UN have repeatedly have shared no data. The Republicans have hopped onto this. All they can do is tweet, but can they do anything? No. They don't have a majority in the Senate. If they call for an inquiry in the House, DOJ can delay for another 12 to 14 months and stall the process. So we don't expect any outcome, and the world is fed up of COVID, having suffered every other way that one can think of. I think we'll move on, Sriji.
Sir, honestly, as a concerned American citizen, I think that the 300 labs that US has funding across the world, all of them need to be shut down, sir, because this kind of a leak can happen anywhere else also. They don't have these labs inside the United States, but they have them all over outside. That needs to be shut down, number one. Number two, speaking of Senate majority, what is with Fetterman, sir? This guy is almost clinically dead, they are saying, and the Democrats don't want to announce that he is passed, and because till August 18th, required, because they're afraid that in Pennsylvania it will flip to Republicans, ergo they will lose a majority in Senate. What's going on, sir?
It's politics, Sriji. Majority matters in the Senate, because if they lose majority in the Senate, the whole Biden administration and the Democratic agenda is gone to the tubes. So therefore, they will do anything and everything possible, even if truth takes a backseat, Sriji.
Sridharji, Fetterman's wife is doing all kinds of appearances now. It's as if, saying that just in case something happens, she's going to be the successor. I don't know what is going on, sir, but I think, in my opinion, United States should be the last country giving democratic advice to other countries. We have to clean house internally before we can preach to others. You have to practice. That is my 2 cents, sir. Now let's take a look at what is happening further in Asia. The chip industry has doubled down on Singapore as the production hub to diversify supply chains to mitigate risk. Taiwan hosts Fab 4 meeting that includes US, Japan, and South Korea to diversify and expand chip production. Sir, 6-8 months ago, we had this talk about all the chip fabs being moved to United States. For example, TSMC was going to build 3 or 4 fabs. Now, I don't think Singapore has fabs. I don't think. They have manufacturing powerhouse there, but then they became too expensive, which is why they got into high finance, and the thing continued in China. I mean, I'm talking about 90s. They used to have these disk drives used to manufacture in Singapore, but now all that stuff had moved to China. So I don't know if that reversal is possible, Sridharji. Please let us straight.
Well, I think that there is it Applied Materials, Global Foundries, the French Ciotech? They all have.
Sir, they are headquartered there, sir. That doesn't mean the head count is there.
No, let me complete, Sriji. Then you can come after me. Then Global Foundries is a 5 billion foundry, sir. 5 billion.
I understand, sir. I understand. They are headquartered there for tax purposes.
No. 5 billion foundry, not headquarters. Okay. So remember, once upon a time, Motorola and Intel had footprint in Penang and Singapore.
Penang, yes.
When you go back to the 80s and the 90s. So Singapore does have a fab. They have $5 billion, at least 2 of them. One is 5 and one is $3 billion factories, rapidly built. And Singaporeans are second to none in terms of their execution is concerned. Probably best practices India may have to learn and take it away. There's actually a corridor where you see this the fab establishments that are going there. Yep.
Sir, Singapore Times, I can see Straight Times tomorrow headline. Sridhar Chityala praises Singapore. Let's move on.
So you saw your comment. Global Foundries has a fab in Singapore. He is correct. That's what we said.
Lastly, about other world news, Chancellor Olaf Scholz promises Indian techies to relax visa rules and ask them to work in Germany. So this was something that 25 years was proposed. 25 years ago it was proposed. And then one of the opposition leaders in Germany said something about Linde, something like that, and they stopped it. If they had done that, they could have had the solution to their workforce problems, sir.
Indeed. So just if I can get your permission to go back, the Fab 4 is the semiconductor fabrication comprising of 4 countries, Taiwan in the lead, United States, Japan, and Korea, collaborating to locate the units around the world in a collaborative fashion. So they were waiting. The first meeting was held. Yes, United States will have 2, but I think they're trying to collaborate and locate in other parts of the world. It's a very significant development in terms of these are all the things that are worrying China big time. Now coming back to your question on, do you want me to pause for a second or I go to Germany?
No. You go to Germany, sir. German Chancellor is in India right now. So we are talking India-Germany work relationship. Please go ahead, sir.
No, I think it is very significant because the reason is, again, if you recall, historically, the German tilt was towards from high-end design to fabrication to manufacturing. They were reliant on the Chinese. And there was a very close collaboration between the businesses and the Chinese government and Chinese businesses in terms of augmenting this. It's very interesting that Mr. Scholz has mentioned that he is now prepared to offer long visas to the Indian techies. Remember, Indian techies for time immemorial have been if I have to pick 3 nations, 2 significant nations, Russia and Germany, Indian techies have been working here for a long time. And it augurs very well. This was followed by a big meeting that the Prime Minister Modi had with all the business leaders or whosoever was present in the G20, advocating to them that the closer collaboration is needed. So clearly, I think this is a very positive step. I think we had mentioned this as well, that we will begin to see as United States goes increasingly woke and left. And very interesting comment by Elon Musk in today. We won't touch on that right now. But the story is that you can see increasing migration towards East as well as towards Europe.
Sir, Israel and Palestine authorities are to meet in Jordan today to diffuse escalating violence. And we have been seeing a couple of Israelis were, I think, killed yesterday. I think there was a strike. And then, of course, Israel is going to vow revenge. This is sudden burst of firing going on, sir. What was the provocation?
Benjamin Netanyahu. The Benjamin Netanyahu and the right-wing government means they are going to be very forceful in executing. It's a move from the Labour government, which was far more sympathetic. Unfortunately, Naftali Bennett is also right, but the story is he had a coalition, so to a great extent he was marginalized. But anyway, he quit, and so Benjamin Netanyahu has been very forceful going into the territories and taking his obviously Iranian and Hezbollah influence. Rises as soon as you see a very strong Israeli leader. So now, recognizing that this could become problematic, Egypt and Jordan said it's time we sit down and try to de-escalate this, because the normal Palestinians do not want this. It is these kind of guys who come in and create trouble and create problems. So I think that is why they're sitting down and having a chat, Sriji.
A lot of other things are happening in Iran. 3-4 days ago, there was a report that I read where they said that Iran is practically prostrating in front of China. I'm using the words very guardedly, sir. And so that's one side. Now Russia has a fighter jet deal with Iran. Iran is saying that it is going to create a shield for Syria. Do you think they have the bandwidth to manage all this? And what about their internal problems?
I think it's all distraction, Sriji. One thing we have to say, Iran has been very successful on three fronts. One, their drone technology, which they have supplied, which has been effectively used. And they have also used drones, which we covered last year in a number of DGI programs, targeting the US bases both in Iraq and southern Syria. The second is that they have also been successfully conducting these naval incursions and interceptions. To some extent, it has been repelled, but still they have been able to conduct. That's the second. I think the third is that they have been now firing long-range ballistic missiles. So you can see softness on their nuclear program, but you can begin to see they are beginning to deploy these toys. I ask where these long-range ballistic missiles are coming from. I'm sure it must be coming from the other side of the Asian water. There's another little guy who is firing these toys into Indo-Pacific. He's probably supplying few of them, obviously with the support of the Chinese.
Well, that brings us to a close of today's DGI. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to click on the bell button for notification. I hope you have all signed up for Twitter, because we are going to start doing Twitter Spaces with Sridharji, where he'll be able to give you even more of an extended answers, one-on-one interactive sessions to make it a lot more like an informative session. We are planning on that, but we just need your support to sign up for Twitter and let us know. You need to also follow PGurus1 handle at PGurus1. And if you want, you can also follow 𝙒𝙗𝙧𝙤𝙪𝙥𝙪, CHITYALA. That is Sridharji's handle, because either places we will be broadcasting that we are going to have a Twitter Spaces session. Thank you so much, Sridharji, and we'll be back again on Wednesday, same time, same location. And apologies, tonight we are not having Ask Abhijit show. He's not well. He should be hopefully well tomorrow, but not today. So we are going to do something else tonight. So just stay tuned. Thank you very much, Sridharji. Namaskar.
Namaskar. Have a good evening.